In the quiet before time, the world was a vast, slumbering expanse. The earth was flat, silent, and devoid of life, waiting for the spark of purpose. Beneath the surface, coiled deep within the crust, lay the Rainbow Serpent, the great mother of all existence. She was not merely a creature, but the very essence of energy and change, holding the potential for every mountain, river, and spirit within her shimmering scales. As she stirred, her movement was not violent, but a gentle awakening, a rhythmic pulse that signaled the transition from nothingness to something. She felt the heavy stillness of the earth and understood that it was time to bestow life upon the landscape. With a powerful surge, she rose, breaking through the dry crust of the world, her body glowing with colors never before seen. She was the first breath of life, the catalyst for the unfolding tapestry of reality, and her journey was only just beginning. As the Rainbow Serpent crawled across the desolate plains, her massive body carved deep furrows into the ground. These were not random scars, but the blueprint of the world to come. Wherever she moved, her weight sank into the earth, creating valleys, winding riverbeds, and deep gorges. She was the great architect, sculpting the terrain with deliberate intent and immense power. Every bend in the river stood as a testament to her path. She taught the land the language of flow and elevation, ensuring that the world was no longer a blank slate, but a complex, vibrant home. Her trail became the veins of the earth, directing the flow of energy and moisture across the continents. It was a profound act of creation, where the physical world began to mirror the vibrant, kaleidoscopic colors of her own magnificent, iridescent form, permanently altering the face of the planet.
Her work was far from complete. As she moved, her energy surged, causing the earth to buckle and fold under her influence. Where she grew tired and rested, she pushed the crust upward to form the great mountain ranges that now touch the clouds. These peaks were meant to be the pillars of the world, connecting the earthly realm to the infinite sky. She breathed life into these heights, gifting them with weather and shadows, creating distinct habitats for all who would come to inhabit them. The mountains were not just stone, they were symbols of endurance and strength. She spent eons perfecting these heights, ensuring that the geography was diverse and purposeful. Every cliffside and jagged peak was shaped by her touch, turning the flat, lifeless plains into a majestic landscape designed to challenge, support, and inspire the life she was about to introduce to this world. The rivers were the lifeblood of her creation. As she moved, she channeled the primal waters into the furrows she had carved, filling them with clear, life-giving streams. She understood that life required hydration and connection. These water systems became the meeting places for the first spirits, the arteries through which the essence of the Dreamtime would flow. She placed the fish in the rivers and nurtured the vegetation along the banks, creating lush corridors of life. She taught the water how to sing, how to carve through stone over time, and how to nourish the soil. This was the era where she transformed the landscape into a living organism. She watched as the water settled, creating hidden lagoons and deep, mysterious waterholes that would become sacred to those who understood the deep, rhythmic, and interconnected pulses of the earth she had so carefully and lovingly brought to life. With the geography established, the Rainbow Serpent turned her gaze toward the emptiness. She understood that a house is not a home without inhabitants. She called out to the creatures of the deep earth, summoning them to rise and claim their places. From the crevices and the soil, the animals emerged: the kangaroo, the emu, the lizard, and the birds of every feather. She bestowed upon each of them a unique purpose, a spirit, and a law by which to live. She placed them carefully within the ecosystems she had built, ensuring each had a role in the tapestry. She was the provider and the protector, watching over the budding life with the gentle, radiant eyes of a creator. Each species was a reflection of her own internal complexity, gifted with instincts and patterns that would allow them to thrive in the world she had shaped with her own body and spirit. As the world flourished, the rainbow serpent became a teacher of cosmic laws. She gathered the creatures and the first people, speaking to them through the wind and the rushing water. She taught them that the land was not a resource to be conquered, but a living relative to be honored. She established the law of the land, a set of sacred rules that mandated care for the environment and gratitude for the nourishment it provided. She emphasized that all life is connected by invisible threads of spirit. To harm one part of the world was to wound the self. This was the era of the dreaming, where the physical and the spiritual were one. She empowered them with the knowledge that reciprocity was the key to longevity, that if they took from the land, they must give back in equal measure, ensuring the cycle of life remained unbroken. As ages passed, the beauty of the world led to a dangerous shift in the hearts of some. The creatures and people grew complacent, forgetting the sacred promises made to the serpent. They began to take more than they needed, disregarding the delicate balance of their home. Greed and arrogance took root, manifesting as a disregard for the sacred waterholes and a refusal to share the bounty of the land. They stopped listening to the whispers of the wind and the warnings of the trees. The rainbow serpent watched from the deep hidden places, her scales dimming as the world lost its harmony. She saw the disconnection, the way the creatures began to see themselves as separate from the land rather than part of it. The vibrant colors of the landscape seemed to fade, reflecting the darkening spirits of those who had forgotten their place within the great, living, and breathing cycle. Sensing the disharmony, the rainbow serpent made a difficult choice. She retreated to the deep, dark waterholes, far from the reach of those who had grown heartless. Her departure was not a punishment, but a withdrawal of her life-giving presence to force a moment of realization. As she vanished, the land felt the loss. The rains ceased, and the rivers began to dry. It was a time of immense trial, a period where the inhabitants had to confront the consequences of their actions. The silence that followed her retreat was heavy with sorrow. Without her guiding spirit, the people were forced to look within themselves to find the strength they had ignored. It was a necessary exile, a moment where the external creator became an internal void, urging the people to reclaim their sense of responsibility and restore the balance they had so carelessly discarded. During this time of drought and reflection, the people were forced to go on a pilgrimage. They had to travel across the land, seeking the waterholes where the serpent had hidden. This journey was the start of their personal transformation. It was a test of humility, patience, and resolve. To find her, they had to prove they remembered the old laws. They learned that they could not command the land. They had to ask, to listen, and to serve. They sang the songs of the ancestors, performed the dances of gratitude, and cleared the paths they had neglected. Slowly, the land began to respond to their change of heart. As they rediscovered their connection to the earth, the clouds began to gather, and the parched land started to breathe once more. They were learning that restoration comes only through effort, sacrifice, and a genuine, humble desire to live in total harmony. The rainbow serpent returned, her colors more vivid than ever before, signaling that the balance had been restored. She remained, not as a physical presence for all to see, but as a subtle, omnipresent force in the rain, the rainbows, and the lifeblood of the earth. She became the symbol of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. She demonstrated that change, even the change that feels like a loss, is necessary for renewal. She reminded them that the divine is not a distant God, but a mirror reflecting their own growth and resilience. True power, she showed, lies in the ability to evolve, to adapt, and to always return to the core of one's own truth. The world continued, forever changed by the knowledge that, as long as they respected the land, the Rainbow Serpent would continue to dwell within the heart of their world, protecting the sacred circle.